Hi everyone, welcome back to another TSTALKS podcast. Today I'm talking about the national lockdown, which was implemented last night at 8 o'clock, following Boris Johnson doing his press conference, talking about how, we're going to have to go into a national lockdown lasting until at least the middle of February. Now, my thoughts on it is it wasn't surprising to me. When we did that last lockdown in the month of November, I said from then, the plan will be, try ease it so that, people can go out and shop prior to Christmas, and then in the new year we're going into a lockdown. I think the thing which doesn't help with the public is that the other day it was stated that, schools wouldn't be returning on the 4th, on the Sunday. He says, schools are, some of the safest places to be. Children should be attending school tomorrow, which was Monday, which was yesterday. And then yesterday he comes out and does a press conference and says, schools are going to go to remote working. Like, what are you doing? You're saying one thing and doing the other. And this is the issue which many people have with this government, is that, you say one thing 1 minute and then you change it. And it's got to the stage now, people aren't even calling these things U-turns. They're just calling it O's, because you're just literally going round and round and round. That's the reality on it. And, most people saw that another lockdown was coming. But at the end of the day, this locking down thing, something needs to be done within that time. I looked at the arrivals for Gatwick about 20 minutes ago. Obviously there's not as many flights as there would usually be, but there's still flights coming into the country. What's happening with these people when they're coming off these flights into the UK? As far as I'm aware, from people I know that have, gone out the country and come back, like they're not being asked to do, any sort of, well, you may be asked to do isolation, but they're not having to do any sort of negative COVID test and stuff. This is a time where, places like, the hospitality industry, the whole hotel industry, all of this stuff is, out of business. I'm seeing that how in New Zealand, when, they're only letting residents and citizens fly back into the country. But when they do, they're staying in a self-isolation hub sort of thing for, 14 to 15 days. They got to do some negative COVID test in that time. What that thing is the equivalent to a 4/5-star hotel. Where these hotels ain't being used, surely these things could be used towards. You could use a hotel near Heathrow. There's so much hotels around there that's okay. Well, you've landed in the country, fine. You need to go and self-isolate for 14 days in this place, and you can use some of the staff that you would usually work in these hotels and stuff as staff to go on with this. At the moment, what's happening is people are coming into the country. It's the same thing that was happening before the first lockdown. People were still being allowed to come into the country. You get through customs and it's just like you just go about your business. And that's the issue that we have here. It's all good saying lockdown, but what are you actually implementing during the lockdown? If you can imagine all those times we've had to lock down, and these things were put in place in terms of hotel and hospitality staff doing what I just mentioned, in turning some of these hotels into a temporarily self-isolation hub. These people still have some level of work. All this has done is just cause a lot of industries to go out of business. There's a lot of industries that have been affected by this crisis, and don't get me wrong, regardless of whether you believe in this thing or not, it's still a crisis. It's affecting people's livelihoods, which at the end of the day affects people's mental state. So it is a crisis, and there's no other way to go about it. But there's got to be some sort of resolution to this. We can't just keep locking down and coming out of lockdown, and then the numbers go up, and then you got to say we've got to go back into lockdown again. There's the talks about obviously how they're rolling out the vaccine, and they got the new Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and whatnot. Cool, for the people that want it, that's great. And this helps me move on to the next person, Keir Starmer, that he was on Good Morning Britain this morning. I actually watched it, and he was basically saying how we need to put legislation in place to clamp down on these anti-vaxxers. And I spoke about this about last week or so in a video, and the episode's called How to Debunk Conspiracy Theorists. Now, there's not much people that have conspiracy theories about COVID. I mentioned some of them in in that video, there's a lot of conspiracy theories about the vaccine. If you put a law across to say anyone that says anything that's anti-vax and whatnot, all that's going to do is help people who have conspiracy theories about this believe, well, you're shutting down people's freedom of speech. You ain't helping the situation. And I even responded to him and Good Morning Britain on Twitter and said, the best way you can go about, helping people that are skeptical regarding this is you address their points. You're not the Prime Ministers, but maybe you, alongside the Prime Minister, all the people in power, the medical people, people need to address all these conspiracy theories that have been put in place about this, and they need to be people that are held to account unless they're held guilty. That if people are found in time, it doesn't need to be now, in time, if people have any effects from this, because that's some of the issues people have. People may take the vaccine today and they're fine, but in 5, 10, 15 years down the line, there could be some serious effects of this. And I'm not saying there is, but that's what a lot of people may think. And at the moment, it's like people are saying, well, if you're against it, well, actually, my plan is to put a law in place to stop you having your thoughts on it. No. I know there was the protest at the weekend, which I know some of it was by St. Thomas's Hospital, which had a lot of the medical staff there emotional because they're dealing with it, hands-on within the hospital. And I completely understand that. And I feel it for those people because they're dealing with that on a daily basis. But the people that's running the country, the people that's in charge, they're the people that need to take action of it. You're the people that need to come out and say, well, I don't know. The same way you can do a press conference and whatnot, you do that within the House of Commons. You go across every single theory. There's loads out there. Maybe you shorten the list down to 50, but there's a lot of key theories regarding the virus. You go through those in the Houses of Parliament. I don't know how you do it, but some of the politicians and stuff and the people in charge of chief medical people that have to put a signature to something to say that, they're therefore liable. That, if in years to come, something happens to people on the back of this, that, we're liable. If we're not liable, our kids or our kids are liable to go to prison for treason or whatever other crime you can do them for pushing this vaccine. Because the reality of it is, people ain't listening to Boris because people don't trust Boris. People don't listen to Hancock because people don't trust him. This is the facts of the matter. But if you want to deal with the issue with the people that are skeptical, this is the way you go about it. Saying that you want to put a law in place and you can put it in place in 2 days, you're not helping the matter. You're doing everything but help the matter. And that's my personal thoughts on it. And, the last person you can see in the picture, Sadiq Khan. This is the guy that, at a point I kind of felt it for him because, he's a Labour, person, an MP working in a conservative world, which, it must be tough. But there's some things that even with this guy, I'm like, I don't know, when it was flu jab season, he did some PR stunt about get your flu jab. But, I'm sure it was like he had his blazer on or something, so I didn't know they're going to put the flu jab through his jacket. It's either him, it was that one, or he had the lid. So it's things like that. And then today he comes out and says, mask wearing should be put in place in public spaces. What are you talking about? Mask wearing ain't even help. No, we're in a worse situation now than we was in 10 months ago when we went into the first national lockdown. Since then, people wearing masks have been brought in place on the train. People wearing masks have been brought in place in shops. But now we're in a worse place. So this mask wearing in public spaces ain't going to do nothing. Like I just said, I feel it for you on certain things, but you got to make sense on your points here. No one's come out and justified to the people how the mask wearing things worked. No one's come out and said to the people that are skeptical about vaccines, like, okay, well, what? These are all the theories that we've seen come to place about this thing. And even if you was to miss out some, there's very key ones that people are very, that very set in place that people are talking about on a big level. You can list a good 30 to 40, if not 50 of those in the House of Commons, in Parliament, have signatures to this document, ensure that people are liable if, people have effects from this 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, even 100 years down the line from this, yeah, that you are all culpable. That's how you deal with the issue. Trying to, say, oh, well, if this is your opinion, this is what we're going to do. None of that's going to work. There was a doctor on Good Morning Britain, I believe it was yesterday, he said that nurse, he basically said if he did his job, how Boris ran the country, he would be sacked. And that's it. As a people, the people of the country aren't happy because they're seeing what's happening elsewhere. And over here, it just seems to be an absolute joke. And, for me personally, I'm not a politician. It's not something I've ever wanted to follow, not a career path for me. But I feel that what I've spoken about during this, I've given enough valid, clear points as to how these people, can help swing the public mood and how we can somehow see a way out of this. That's just me giving my thoughts. Someone might listen to this and say, oh, mate, you're talking a little rubbish, you know nothing. Good for you. But I'm giving my opinion, and in my opinion, I'm providing some sort of resolution. I've provided a resolution on my own. I've provided a resolution, a thought on what I've seen in other countries doing in terms of people when they're coming into the country. I provided a thought on how people that are skeptical about the vaccine and stuff, how, you can maybe, gain more public trust. Whether you want to listen to me or not, the points I've made are factual. And, it's me giving my thoughts in it. So that's it from me. Otherwise, I'll go on for, hours and hours talking about the subject. And, truth be told, I'm not losing any sleep on the subject. Life goes on. I'm a man with 2 kids, family, etc. I ain't got time to lose sleep over this. I got to provide for my family and get on whatever way is how it is. So, yeah, that's me giving my thoughts on it all. So, like I say, if you're listening on YouTube, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Obviously, if you're listening on Spotify, big respect to you. You can let me know your thoughts, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc. And yeah, man, that's my thoughts on the subject. Another national lockdown. It is what it is. We just got to keep moving. And yeah, man, hope you all take care of yourselves. And, like I said, peace to everyone and big up, respect.